The Week 14 penultimate college football playoff rankings are here, and there are some surprises that we need to talk about. So let's talk about it. At 1, we have Ohio State, and Ohio State makes a lot of sense at 1. They are one of 2 undefeated Power 4 teams in the country, but what sets them apart is that win over Texas to start the year. They have a big out-of-conference marquee matchup win, and that win is putting them just a little bit bigger than number 2 Indiana. Indiana also undefeated. They have a big win over Oregon in Autzen, but they don't have a big out-of-conference win, and that'll make a difference come ranking time. I like Indiana at 2 and Georgia 3. Same deal with Georgia. Georgia, one of the handful of one-loss teams. Now, Georgia does have one somewhat big out-of-conference win with that win over Georgia Tech last weekend, and they do have that one loss to Alabama, but they have taken care of business. I like them at 3. And in a similar sense, we got Texas Tech at 4. I like Texas Tech here. Texas Tech dropped one game over in the Big 12 with their backup quarterback. Besides that, they've played really well. And then we got Oregon at 5, and I like Oregon at 5. They have a big win on the road against Iowa at Kinnick Stadium. They have a big home win against USC. Oregon has taken care of business. They don't have any big marquee out-of-conference matchups, but they've taken care of business in conference. At 6, we got Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is a big surprise here for me at 6. I thought the committee would take the Lane Kiffin not coaching the rest of the year news and drop Ole Miss down, but I don't think they should have. I love Ole Miss here at 11-1, ranked 6. I love Ole Miss staying where they're at. Ole Miss, these players have gone 11-1. These players have put the work in. These players have won these big games. They have a big win over Oklahoma. They have a very close loss against Georgia. Ole Miss deserves to be in this spot. And in my opinion, moving them down would have been a shame. It would have been a shame that is equivalent of Florida State missing the playoffs because their quarterback went down. The Ole Miss players cannot help that their head coach decided to abandon them on a national championship run to go coach at a rival school, and they shouldn't be punished for that either. At 7, we got Texas A&M moving down after that loss to Florida. Don't hate that. Oklahoma at 8. Don't hate that. Oklahoma with a big win over Alabama, being ranked above them. 10-2, both their losses came when Mateer was pretty banged up and definitely not 100%. At 9, the team that Oklahoma beat Alabama. At 10, we got Notre Dame. Now, I don't love Notre Dame at this spot, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now, you're looking at these rankings, and you might realize there's no ACC school, and the ACC should get the auto bid, right? Well, no. It's not the auto bid that goes automatically to the ACC. The auto bid are for the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, and the ACC championship game being Virginia and Duke could lead to some problems for the ACC. We will get into that a little bit later. Now we're moving to the first teams out. We got BYU at 11, and again, they are the first team out because there's going to be 2 more conference champions that jump them in the final rankings because of the auto bids. Now, personally, I think BYU at 11 is a little bit low. They are 11-1 on the year. Their only loss is to the 4th-ranked team. But the committee does not respect the Big 12, and they're showing that. And on a similar note, we got Miami at 12. Miami, 10-2. Miami, who beat Notre Dame. Miami, who dropped 2 games during the regular season that they shouldn't have. Now, this is where I have a big problem. This is my first real big problem with the college football playoff rankings this week, and that is that Miami has a head-to-head win over Notre Dame. They have the same record. They are both 10-2. Rankings are supposed to be a hypothetical for when teams can't figure it out on the field, right? They don't play each other, so we're saying, hey, Team A probably better than Team B and would beat them if they played. Except in this case, we know that they played. In this case, they have a head-to-head. In this case, Miami beat Notre Dame. I don't love Miami under Notre Dame here. I think they have the same record. Miami has the head-to-head. You have to put Miami above Notre Dame. They beat them, period. At 13, we got Texas, and Texas fans have been taking to the internet, pleading their case. Steve Sarkisian, the head coach over at Texas, after the game, after they beat A&M, pled his case, and the committee is not buying their case. Now, if you haven't heard what their case is, hey, one of our losses, we're 9-3. One of our losses was to the number 1 ranked team in week 1 by 7 points. But that is not what is keeping Texas out of the college football playoffs at all. That is not what's keeping Texas out. What is keeping Texas out is dropping a bad game to a bad Florida team. Texas fans, if you want to make the college football playoffs, you can't drop a game to a sub-500 Florida team. You just can't do it. You can't do it and expect to make the playoffs when you're 9-3. Regardless of any other games, Texas is not being punished for losing to Ohio State. Texas is being punished for losing to Florida. Even if you replace that Texas-Ohio State game when Texas beat some group of 5 school, they're still probably not getting in if they lost to Florida. BYU would get in ahead of them. Miami would get in ahead of them. Ohio State is not what is keeping Texas out of the playoffs. Now we go to 14, we got Vanderbilt. 15, we got Utah. I don't hate either of those there. Now with Texas, there's a narrative going around that out-of-conference games don't matter, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Texas, because one of their losses is to the number 1 team in Ohio State, is the highest ranked 3-loss team. Ohio State is the highest ranked undefeated team because they have a out-of-conference marquee matchup win. And Oklahoma is the highest of the 2-loss teams because they have a big win against Michigan. Those 3 teams right there are proof that out-of-conference games still matter, and that's not what is keeping Texas out. At 16, we got USC. I don't hate them there. They're 9-3 on the season. They have a bad loss to Illinois. I don't hate USC at 16 at all. At 17, we have Virginia, and here is where things get real interesting. Virginia is playing for a conference championship this weekend. They're playing Duke. They aren't even the highest ranked ACC team, and if they don't win that game, they're not getting in as an at-large bid. Virginia being ranked 17 is huge. We're looking at this 17th ranked ranking. This is a huge, huge ranking here. This is the committee making a point that they do not respect the ACC whatsoever. At 18, we got Arizona. Don't hate that there. They're 9-3 on the year. They haven't played a tough schedule. They're in the Big 12, which the committee doesn't respect. Like the logic there. Then we got Michigan at 19. They are 9-3 on the year with losses to USC, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. I don't hate them there. They didn't look very good against Ohio State. They didn't look very good against USC. I don't hate Michigan at 19 at all. We're talking the 19th ranking here. Now, we said Virginia was interesting, and here is a follow-up with that. At 20, we have Tulane. Tulane is the highest ranked group of 5 team. If they go win this weekend, they're going to be in regardless. But why that gets interesting is because we also have a North Texas team that's ranked and a JMU that's ranked, and we'll get there in a minute. But having Tulane ranked higher than Duke puts them above Duke if Duke were to win. If Duke wins the ACC Conference Championship game, Tulane wins the American Conference Championship game, Tulane is going to be seated higher than Duke will be. At 21, we got Houston. Nothing to say about that. At 22, Georgia Tech. Nothing to say about that. At 23, Iowa. Nothing to say about that. At 24, we got North Texas. Now, North Texas is playing Tulane. So if North Texas beats Tulane, being ranked higher than Duke, and Duke wins, North Texas is going to be ranked higher than Duke will be. Duke would be looking at a 12 seed in the playoffs. And here we get to 25. At 25, we have James Madison. James Madison, who is ranked higher than Duke, obviously Duke is not ranked. If we're assuming the winner of Tulane and North Texas would get that group of 5 spot we talk about most years, and then we assume James Madison wins their conference championship game this weekend, and Duke beats Virginia, there is a very real possibility that the ACC champ does not get in this year. Right? I mean, Tulane wins, they're ranked 20th. JMU wins, they're ranked 25th. Duke wins, they're not ranked. They're not going to be ranked after being the 17th best team. Tulane and JMU will take those spots. So you'll have the winner of the Big 10, the winner of the SEC, the winner of the Big 12, the winner of Tulane, North Texas, and the American, and JMU in this case. That's 5 auto bids right there. And Duke is not one of them. We got potential for some absolute chaos in the college football playoffs. And I'm rooting for it. I'm here for it. Give me the chaos. Now, what I think will be the most interesting grouping going forward is that fringe playoff team, right? That 10 through 13, right? I think everybody 9 and above is safe. Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, Ole Miss, Oregon, all your at-large teams. Texas Tech probably wins their conference. Georgia, if they lose to Bama, they're safe sitting at 3. Indiana, Ohio State, whoever loses that game is pretty safe. But at that 10 spot, we got Notre Dame. Then we got the first team out being BYU. Second team out being Miami. So if we take those 9, we add the 2 more auto bids, that's 11. That's 3 teams vying for 1 spot. Sorry, Texas, you're not jumping Miami, BYU, or Notre Dame. Keep an eye on these conference championship games. With BYU, if BYU keeps it close against Texas Tech, there's a chance they jump Notre Dame. If they jump Notre Dame, there's a chance Miami could somehow sneak in. If Alabama gets blown out in the conference championship game, if Notre Dame doesn't play this week because they're not in a conference, BYU keeps it close. BYU probably jumps Notre Dame. Then we have Miami and Notre Dame, Alabama falling out of it. Notre Dame and Miami that are going to be right next to each other. And that's where the head-to-head will come in. We have some absolute great scenarios this weekend. And I want to know from you guys what you are rooting for this weekend. What kind of chaos scenarios are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Notre Dame to sneak in? Are you rooting for Texas to sneak in even though they shouldn't? Are you rooting for BYU to sneak in? Are you rooting for Georgia to lose big and drop out from 3? Let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to like and subscribe. It helps this channel grow, and I want to be able to grow this channel to the point where I can give you guys all the content that you asked for. And the way to do that is by liking and subscribing. Share it. Tell a friend about it. Text a parent, a friend, your brother about it. They like college football. Let them know. We got a channel going on here. It also tells the algorithm to push more college football onto your feed, even if it's not me. You'll see more college football related stuff because I'm in the college football category. So like, comment, subscribe, share, all of that if you love college football.